Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of the virtual Balearic Yacht Show. My name is Nigel Marrison. I'm the founder of Conscious Yachting Club, and we're here today to discuss CSR and sustainability in the marine industry. We've got some fantastic panelists today to offer their insights onto the subject, and we will kick off the show today with Patrick. Patrick is the founder of an initiative called Septiembre Continente, and Patrick's chosen language for today is French, so we're going to be having some subtitles. So Patrick, please tell us a little bit more about your project.
Bonjour à tous et à tous. Déjà, merci WR Yachting Spain de nous inviter à prendre la parole pour ce Balearic Yacht Show. Alors, Expédition 7e Continent, c'est une ONG française qui, depuis 11 ans, essaye de lutter contre la plastification des océans. Là, nous sommes sur une tournée en Espagne parce que nous allons étudier sur le détroit de Gibraltar les entrées et les sorties des plastiques en Méditerranée. Et donc, on profite de cette mission scientifique et la descente du bateau sur le détroit de Gibraltar pour aller à la rencontre d'autres ONG et d'autres élus locaux pour échanger nos connaissances et prendre des contacts. Donc là aussi, on est ravis de rencontrer Save the Med pour échanger sur nos travaux. Voilà. Nous, on est quand même spécialisés sur les gyres océaniques. Les gyres océaniques, ce sont ces courants qui tournent sur eux-mêmes et qui ont tendance à rassembler les microparticules de plastique. Donc, on a déjà fait plusieurs missions. On a fait 2 missions dans le gyre du Pacifique Nord, 2 missions dans l'Atlantique. Et maintenant, on se concentre en Méditerranée. Et vous le savez, la Méditerranée est malheureusement une des mers les plus polluées. C'est pour ça qu'il faut réunir un peu les forces vives de tous les pays qui entourent cette Méditerranée pour qu'ensemble, on ait une force de frappe pour qu'on arrive à convaincre nos politiques d'imposer des restrictions assez strictes contre cette pollution plastique. Voilà, donc merci de m'avoir entendu et j'espère rencontrer très rapidement tous les acteurs espagnols lors de mes escales. Donc on va s'arrêter bien sûr à Palma, Ibiza, on va aller à Carthagène et à Malaga. Voilà. Donc, je donne rendez-vous à tous les Espagnols pour venir nous rencontrer. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks very much indeed, Patrick. And I love your initiative and look forward to hearing a lot more about your progress. Thanks very much indeed. So we'll take ourselves into the next stage of our discussion, and we're just going to go around and introduce our panelists today. Antonella, good afternoon, and welcome to the show. Perhaps you could introduce yourself and give us some insights into BWA and how you're contributing towards corporate social responsibility in the Balearic Islands and beyond.
Thank you so much for having us. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's a fantastic initiative. So of course I'm Antonella and I'm the managing partner for BWA Spain, but I'm representing the entire BWA yachting. We are a great family, present worldwide, and have a great sense of responsibility and sense of participation in any initiative across the different type of initiative. Patrick, that just made his intervention, reached out to us a while ago, and we were very excited to be part of his project and to support him. I think we, as a marine industry, yachting community, can give so much back to the community in general on different levels, and that's what we're doing at BWI.
Amazing. Well, it's very satisfying and heartwarming to hear that you support communities, not only in the Balearics, but I believe globally. And yeah, I'm sure it's very much appreciated to embrace that culture. So lovely to have you here with us, Antonella.
Thank you. I'm sure we can share a little bit more insight on the different action and the different initiatives that we support. But yeah,
sure,
maybe later on. Yes.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Brad Robertson from Save the Med. Hi, Brad. How are you doing?
I'm good, Nigel. How are you?
Yeah, doing fantastic. Super to have you here. Such a pillar of society within the environmental aspects of having such positive impact in yachting and in the marine industry. Perhaps you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your project.
Sure. My name's Brad Robertson. I'm one of the co-founders and president of Save the Med Foundation. We're based here in Mallorca in the Balearic Islands. We have a team of 12 people. There's a board of 8 directors. We work on 2 separate subjects, one being pollution reduction and the other one being marine protection. It's all science-based. It has a crossover between education, outreach, community engagement and community building. But all of that comes together for our ultimate goals here are to change existing policy, or implement new policy to achieve the environmental and social objectives that we're working towards.
Amazing, Brad. I've followed your journey for quite some years now, and I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. I said it's been some journey, Nigel.
Yes, I know, and I think we'll delve into that a little bit later to explore that journey and the challenges that you've had and such forth. So I take my hat off to you, and to your commitment to the cause is wholeheartedly commendable. So I thank you for that personally.
Pleasure, my pleasure, absolutely.
Last but absolutely not least, we go to Nick Entwistle from Yachting Gives Back. Nick, good day to you. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nigel. Yeah, I'm Nick Entwistle. As you say, founded Yachting Gives Back a couple of years ago when I retired after 22 years with Pinmar, major yacht painting company based here. I was very much involved in their charity golf tournament, which ran every year for 30 years and raised a little over €1 million over that time. And during that period, I got to know a lot of the local charities here that we supported, and was aware of the need the need for help that there was here. And so I was very keen when I retired to try and carry that on in some way. So Yachting Gives Back started as a food raising campaign 2 years ago, and then very quickly grew thanks to the support of the yachts and companies alike. And we now collect food, clothing, bedding, towels, personal hygiene materials, cleaning products, etc. And we distribute those to a range of local charities, soup kitchens, food banks, homeless shelters and children's charities alike. So that's our plan.
Absolutely amazing. And again, it's so important that we evolve yachting as an activity or an industry of meaning and purpose. And initiatives like your own are so vital for that, change the image or evolve the image of the marine industry that has a positive impact. So, Nick, thank you very much indeed for your continued efforts in that. So, we can explore CSR or corporate social responsibility. There's 4 pillars of corporate social responsibility. Those are the social, environmental, and economic impacts, and of what impact we can have. And so, Antonella, perhaps I can ask you, why is it so important in the marine industry for us to embrace this culture? What's really at the core of sustainable practice for the marine industry?
Well, I think we are in a very privileged position. We are in a privileged position where we have access to lots of different opportunity to engage and divulgate knowledge and conscience on subjects that are so relevant for everybody. Most of the time, as you well said, our industry, yachting industry, it's looked at as something frivolous, something that it's only luxury and doesn't have depth and is not interested in. But you absolutely are. And it's so vital for us to set example and to inspire people to be involved in something that the ocean, for instance, it's our own life. We work around it. So if we don't salvaguard it, it's against our own interest as well. So I think it's so important to inspire people, to bring them together, and I think the yachting community, it's a great community that it's really open, very open, and so much giving. Yes, so we have that responsibility to keep doing actions and supporting action towards that direction.
Yeah, sure. Particularly within the marine industry, that's our industry, is to live and work on the ocean. I think to preserve that is absolutely fundamental, not only to mitigate impact, but actually to have positive impact. And so I think it's really super. So, Brad, I mean, can we touch on this? This question.
This is really interesting, Nigel, because I've worked with the yachting industry through the conservation regeneration work that I've done over the last few years, and also as a dive instructor on board. And I've had the pleasure of seeing some of the technologies that these boats, these vessels, these yachts have got on board. And when you're looking at solving rather large environmental issues, a lot of those solutions can be found with new technology and innovation. So having an industry like the yachting industry, where there are the resources to push the boundaries of innovation and development of new products, new machinery, new technology, this is really where I think the yachting industry can assist in various levels of both social and environmental improvement, and having less of an impact generally. So taking, for example, the emissarios or the sewer systems here in the Balearics, and I would imagine most of the Mediterranean, they were built way back when, and most of them are completely inadequate. But yet you have on these luxury yachts blackwater treatment systems that potentially could be developed into a zero discharge system, for example. So there's lots of examples. That's just one. Yeah,
and if I can add as well, that's something obviously extremely accurate, because what we noticed through the years, that there is so much sensibility from owners in the yachting industry. They are so attentive in applying the latest technologies to create the less impact possible into the marine. world. We've been collaborating with different associations like Seakeepers, which I'm sure you know as well, supporting expeditions, supporting that shows how much interest, and involvement the yachting industry has and want to have into the preservation of the marine world in general, for sure.
Definitely something that I've identified with is the power that yachting has to give back. Nick, perhaps you'd like to expand on this question. You're right in the heart of a social initiative in giving back.
Sure.
And perhaps you can expand a little bit for us.
Certainly. I mean, firstly, I think both you, Nigel, and Angela both commented on the slightly negative image that yachting can have. I like to look at it a bit more positively and say a super yacht is the best way ever invented for a billionaire to redistribute his wealth. Worldwide, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in towns all over Northern Europe working in shipyards and so on. Not just working, but preserving skills from generation to generation and so on. And then here in Mallorca, obviously, I mean, the marine industry, apart from the 2 weeks of the initial lockdown, has really pretty much kept going. And given the devastation here of the tourist industry, the marine industry, the super yacht industry has kept working, paying its wages, paying its taxes, paying its social security, and so on, and keeping people employed. So I think simply by its existence, it's quite a positive thing, even before. But as you rightly say, yes, but because it's been in a strong position, it's in a good position to give back. And I think because we all work, by definition, directly or indirectly for the wealthiest people on the planet, most of us have had relatively secure jobs. We don't have the kind of bad debt provisions that most businesses and industries would have. So we've had fantastic support because people have been in a position to do it. And I think from our point of view, our little idea grew so quickly because we were pushing an open door. People were just looking for a way. So many people on the yachts have said, "Oh, thank God, finally, we didn't know what to do with all this stuff. It's great that you found a use for it." So the response has been fantastic. People are very, very willing to help if you just show them the way to do it and how we can make use of things, because yachting is potentially wasteful because they recycle things so quickly. You know, the obvious things like the bedding and the towels that do a season in the guest cabins and a season in the crew quarters, and then what? Where things that have got 10 years more life in them, because by definition they're good quality, are hugely useful. And we're very happy to be the channel to do that.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, and I think it can just go far and wide. We do see far too much waste, don't we? It's quite a bugbear of mine. I really try to reduce waste or not even create the waste, and not recycling that, but giving other people the opportunity to make use of our kind of culture. It's great to do. Yeah, I mean, yachting doesn't receive the best press, does it? Out there in the in the publications sometimes, and I mean, how can we sort of change that? I mean, we need to push the good side of yachting. We need to really get it out there. Antonella, I mean, can you identify any opportunities for us to
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just this forum now, it's a great tool, right? Communication, knowledge in general, sharing, communicating, teaching. But the mission, for instance, just Patrick is still with us. Thank you. Just what he does, approaching the youngsters. You know, that's something incredibly positive, because that's what you want to do. You want to educate the new generation into what they're not even aware, maybe, you know, how impactful is a certain behavior, the usage of plastic, the excessive usage of plastic in this specific case. But diffusing a message and sharing and being leader, bringing your heart in supporting missions and projects and shout it out there. That's one very, very important step. Absolutely. And then, of course, an important step that every company that is in the industry is taking real action to align and to try to be less impactful possible into the pollution and set examples. It's really important as well.
Yeah, setting an example is vital. I mean, I always say education. I think it's critical for the survival of humanity, actually. Brad, you embrace education, and you have a real culture of education, not only youth, but I think everybody, which is amazing. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about your education initiatives.
Sure. I mean, Nigel, the way we all at Save the Med look at education is at all stages of life. You know, formal delivery at school, if you went, is
on occasion.
Okay, exactly. Formal delivery of education there, and informal. You know, like we do. We come in and we deliver these structured education programs on plastic to the kids, but we also have the education programs with the kids has been a core of Save the Med and what was on Dean for many years, and that keeps growing. The demand is there. We've seen a lot of great initiatives come out of the kids, because one of the things that we don't do is just go there and regurgitate information. It's about giving these kids enough information, enough real tangible experience as well, to then try and generate some really creative and forward-thinking ideas to solve the problem. Then we look at working with businesses, and this goes directly into corporate social responsibility. We've developed a single-use plastic index, which allows businesses to assess the problem item. One of the biggest problems we have in reducing and removing single-use plastics is the alternates. What are we going to replace this with, or do we need it? And unfortunately, in most of the world, the marketing laws are quite loose, for lack of a better word, which means that a lot of the alternates are not what they say on the box. So this index allows people to put the same data in from a problem product and then a potential alternate, and you can see on a numerical scale whether that alternate is really honestly better and how much better. So yeah, education is by far not something that you just get in school and university. I think that's pretty obvious to all of us.
Absolutely. No, I do agree. I do agree.
Nick, you spent many years in Pinmar. Now, paint, plastic in the paint, repaint projects, so many materials. What sort of learnings did you come away from working in such an environment for so many years? Did you what learnings did you come away from Pinmar with, and how have you applied those to Yachting Gives Back?
Very little on the technical side. I would say I knew less about paint than anybody else in the company. It wasn't I was not remotely technical. But what I will say, but on behalf of my colleagues who were, I think we were always very much committed to emissions controls and so on, and we're always way ahead of the legislation, always looking for better filtration systems, better ways of using the plastic and so on. So I think, but yes, I mean, of course, yes, we used an awful lot of products that are not in themselves fantastically environmentally friendly. But I think personally, though, yeah, just as I say, it was more a question of what I saw. Again, really through the golf side. I mean, so many the companies that helped and donated and worked and supported us through the golf tournament just because they wanted to make a contribution. I mean, Antonella knows very well, they were great supporters of it, but so many other companies were. So I think I was just conscious of the fact that there was something there. There was definitely a willingness to help, and I was looking for a way to sort of continue tapping into that.
Yeah, amazing.
Nigel,
Yes, Brad.
can I just quickly throw something else in? You know, if we're talking about corporate social responsibility, and we know what the pillars are and everything else, I think one important question for all of us, whether we're providing the platforms to create or to fit into the corporate social responsibility programs within businesses, is to really understand why we're putting these programs together. You know, it's how do I say, the core reasons, and I think the core reasons for corporate social responsibility are to change our behaviour, you know, to improve our practices, so best practices in various aspects of work. And this is also something that Save the Med can provide marine businesses with, our calls to actions, best practices at sea when coming across certain animals or certain artifacts like discarded fishing equipment, and putting all of this into practice and really starting to come together as a community and saying, well, hang on, is this corporate social responsibility a document that we need to tick off certain boxes and then we can file that and that's okay? Or are we diving into this and really trying to make a difference with the energy and the focus we put in on CSR?
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about CSR, we can talk about ESG, which is environmental social governance. We can talk about all these tools and resources, but essentially I agree with you 100%, Brad, that it's essentially what we're talking about is a culture. And it's a culture of accountability and transparency, and we have to be accountable for our actions. And actually, when we talk about CSR, it's the responsibility of enterprise and their impacts in the four pillars of environment, social, economy, and workplace, and how they're impacting. So it is a cultural shift in mindset about how we're living, how we're consuming, and on our general practice. So yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. It's critical. I mean, Antonella, have you experienced any challenges at all? Any pushback during your journey with BWA? What challenges do we come across when trying to implement or trying to change this mindset? Or are there any that you come across?
Well, I'm quite a positive person, and I actually embrace the vision that Nick, was expressing, that in our community, at least, we see a lot of positivity, a lot of. There's obviously difficulties, that there are barriers, they are established by government regulation. There are real limitations, but in general, we see a lot of positive reception from all different levels, from our employees. They're really embracing. Just an example, nobody's using plastic bottles anymore. Everybody is reusing their own bottle, refilling. Just silly little steps, towards showing this consciousness that this world, it's our world. We need to jointly protect it for a greater good. It's a philosophy of life. It's not, a specific action for today. The community as well that we operate in are slowly opening up as well towards us and embracing the initiative, are understanding more I mean, we do find difficulties, but in general, the approach is very positive. We don't see much resistance, at least on a social level. Then obviously, Brad was saying there is so much to do on higher level with regulations and we, at least from our side, for what we can do, everybody should do their little bit. Let's say we're here to support a great organization like Save the Med, Seventh Continent Expedition. Anything we can do is to support economically, because we completely understand at the end of the day, those actions need an economical support to continue to diffuse the message. So sometimes we find maybe difficult in that sense, to offer real support in the economical side of things, where at the end of the day it's needed to enable them to continue it, right, Brad? I don't know if you find that type of difficulty.
Yeah, I didn't really prepare too much for that subject, but it's something very close to my heart, and if I could guarantee that our team at Save the Med had sufficient funding to get through 12 months of the year without having to worry about money, and that 12 months was then repeated every year for the next 5 years, we would absolutely reach terminal velocity very, very quickly. But what happens and I'm sure Patrick and his team have the same problems, and many other NGOs, particularly grassroots and smaller, really, really hard-working NGOs, it's really, really difficult. So that's our budget. So I'm sure Patrick's budget is not astronomically high. Our budget is not a mind-blowing figure. And I think within the yachting industry in general, if there was a little bit more movement on the funding side of things, that organisations like Seventh Continent and Save the Med would be funded relatively easily. But this will come in time as these subjects grow, and it's a matter of pushing with the quality work, the quality projects, and waiting for people to really see how important the work that all of us do is.
This is what that's what I was trying to voice out as well, that for example for BWA, this is something that for me it's so at heart, because we can shout it loud, we can call for help, and I know there is so many generous people out there, and yeah, this is what we're trying to do, to shout out that if we want changes, those changes are actually done by people like you guys that put a lot of personal effort, but the reality is that nothing happens by itself. The people need to be supported, and unfortunately or fortunately, they need to, to have economical support. And as BWA, we have supported a lot of initiatives, and we want to continue supporting. And the call out will be to other companies to do the same.
Sure.
Thank you.
No. Thank you, guys.
Nick, would you like to expand a little bit on that question? I mean, have you come up against any challenges within your initiative and in your projects? Have you come up against any challenges?
Honestly, I mean, no, no major pushback, as you call it. Quite the opposite. I mean, as I said, the response has been so positive. I think just so many people willing to do it. I mean, the good news was that we started a year before the pandemic, so when that hit, we were already quite well in quite a good position to pitch in and help. But I mean, so much of it just came from. I mean, I very much appreciate Brad's education system program and so on is obviously very relevant to his because it's a far more complex subject. But for us, it's just simple word of mouth, social media, the Facebook page, and local media have been extremely helpful as well. But also just amongst the yachts themselves. One yacht, Pantalassa, one of the yachts last summer, the chef on there offered to start cooking meals when the Commodore Social could, and so on, places like that, could no longer have people inside to eat, and they just had to operate as takeaways. They started cooking meals for the homeless, and within a couple of weeks, I had 10 boats cooking meals. regularly every week, and I think we must have done, I didn't keep count, but 3,000 meals over the last year or so. Have been a huge effort, just because people didn't realize that they could help in that way, and as soon as they saw other people doing it, they thought, yeah, we can do that. So yeah, I think the response has been very positive. It really has. We've been overwhelmed by it. I mean, it's sort of expanded beyond any expectations we had when we started.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm so happy to hear that. I mean, I think just from the conversation we're having is that we have some incredible people in yachting, in the marine industry, crew, captains, agents, and all associated stakeholders. And we have a really valuable culture and something really valuable to give. But Brad, I mean, I saw a post of yours some time ago about the project. I forget the area, but the regeneration project that took 10 years to get approval for from the government. For it was a marine conservation project. Am I right in what I'm saying? And it took 10 years to get approval to regenerate a sea area. Am I correct in saying that?
It may have been 10 years ago we started. Right. So one of the really core areas of Save the Med's work is working with local scientists within our organisation, and also on the outside, networks of them, local government and the Spanish mainland government, to assist in the establishment of new marine protected areas. Now, a lot of people, when they think of marine protected area, they think, oh no, we can't do anything there. And this really fits into particularly marine industry and yachting corporate social responsibility. What you're potentially talking about, Nigel, was Dragonetta. The island of Dragonetta is now a marine protected area, and that was it wasn't only due to our work, but what we have is a group of scientists that have been working together for many, many years, and we designed the proposal for that marine protected area. The government then adopted that, manipulated it. They took it to Madrid. The local government approved it. The Spanish mainland government approved it. And we started that in 2012. The internal waters of Dragonetta were established in 2016, and external waters were established last year, I believe. So it takes some time. There's just been notification that the Spanish mainland government is looking at doing something out of soy air. And so we're going to be focusing our marine protected area work on that part of the island. And it's really part of that work to design an MPA where it demands the input. If we want to design a well-functioning marine protected area, it demands the input of all of the stakeholders. And the yachting industry is a huge stakeholder and user of these waters. So getting experts from the industry together and asking what the necessities are for the yachts, various sizes, everything else, for a certain area of sea, so different types of moorings, what you need, providing information, what sort of information do you need for your captains, for your management companies, for your crew, so that they all understand the ins and outs of these areas. A good working example, it wasn't done by us, but by Manuel San Felix in Ibiza, was the Posidonia maps. And that's an absolutely great tool for yachting. Fantastic. And that's something that it's an easy addition to a CSR policy of a management company. You know, it's like, here we go. There's an application that shows you where the Posidonia is, so you know, most importantly, where not to anchor. All right, there's one box, tick, and practically fantastic.
I have to say that actually, because we support so many clients, so many yachts heading to Formentera, Ibiza, they are so respectful. Really, they do have the right mindset, and they so keen. Even actually, there's been talk about it to finance, to finance and pay anchorage fee so that they can safely be anchored and then support and finance the project. So from the the yachting world, there is so much acceptance, positive acceptance towards that direction for sure.
Definitely.
It's great to hear. I think if we need to bridge the communication cross-sector between yachting, government and local communities, definitely. Everybody's got to be on side in order to drive the change. I mean, we need to create yachting to be a cleaner, greener activity, with an elevated level of purpose. So I think bridging that communication and education, I think is critical in this journey. And so to have everybody on board, so to speak, is absolutely vital. So it's great to hear. And yachting industry is it's pioneering. I think from a technical viewpoint, the advancements of technology that we've seen. I think for me, it's like I'd really like to see marine industry taking a stance on being a leader in this subject. And what insights could you give about how we can really do that to take this to the next level? Antonella, perhaps you could, with your global yet local brand of yachting network, how can we? What's the next step? What can we really do? Is the next step to position the marine industry as change maker?
Well, you mentioned before the new generation of yachts that are being created. The technology they apply, it's incredibly advanced and absolutely leading the how do you say the setting up the standards, right, to apply technology, because there is a possibility, economically there is enough funds to be able to lead and apply that technology. That's absolutely putting us in an incredible position to then extend and apply in other sectors. That's, I think, it's an incredible opportunity from us, from the yachting world.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick, I mean, how do you see technology driving change?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I can only look at, I mean, the success of a lot. Yeah, just looking at the response we get from. Yeah, so I don't know how to answer that. But
no, not at all. I think what we touched on before was perhaps the purifying water, the black and grey, the water treatment plants and such forth. And I think there's a lot of things that are in the marine industry which can be applied ashore in order to clean up the act.
Yeah, oh no, I can. Yeah, I mean, I can give you some nice examples. I mean, we have a local air conditioning water company, MTC, who have put an air conditioning unit into the Shambhala Foundation. They've put fresh water systems into the 2 homeless shelters that we work with, and so on. So I can only look at this at a very local, basic level, not quite the same sort of wider outlook that Antonella and Brad have, but just on a purely local level. Yes, companies have done a huge amount for us in all sorts of ways. We've had fantastic donations.
But actually, I feel so close to Nick, because the changes are small step taken, in small community, and then can be obviously brought up on a larger scale. But what you say is so beautiful, that from the local community there is synergy with the yachting industry, and we literally bringing back to the society and to the locals. It's beautiful. It's a positive, very positive message, Nigel, right?
It's absolutely incredible. It's very heartwarming to have this discussion. You're all leaders in your own sector, and to driving the culture, changing the mindset about how we live and how we operate, and how we can have a positive impact, I think is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to wind this session up right now. Thank you so much for being part of this discussion. Eternally grateful. And Patrick, Antonella, Brad and Nick, thanks very much indeed. And I hope to see you all very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Nigel, and everybody else. Have a great afternoon.
Merci à tous.
Thanks, everyone.
Merci.